In today's video, we're going to be fitting one of these. And it's the same reason why you'd want it on a rally car as well as your daily driver, and that is because of the evil sun which glares in your eyes, and that's hopefully what this sun strip is going to get rid of. Now if you've been following the channel, you're probably like, but wait, don't you already have a sun strip? And I do, and in fact if you watched my other video on all the mods I've done to my car, you will know that this is the first sun strip, one of the first mods I did to my car. However, because I tried to peel the Ford lettering off of that sun strip, and just because of age, the sun strip has seen better days. So I thought it was about time to buy a new sun strip, and this is the new sun strip, and it has lettering again, but this time a lot more subtle. So without further ado, let's remove this old stinky sun strip. So it was at this point that I started realizing that the sun strip's actually leaving behind some sticky residue, and I got some bad flashbacks from last week's video.
Disgusting!
Nevertheless, I carried on anyway, and I'll come back to deal with that later. So this was essentially the scarring that was left behind, and I thought at this point it's going to be exactly like last time's video and I'm just not going to be able to remove it, but I thought I'd give it a go anyway and we'll see what happens. Surprisingly, all it took was actually a little bit of elbow grease and it came off right away. So I wish that was the case for the rear of the car, but oh well, at least we can now move on with actually fitting the new sun strip. And so with a little bit of masking tape, you can get a feel of how it's actually going to look on the car once it's been put on. Now I have to be honest here, as much as I like this sun strip, the lettering's really good and all that, it's just not big enough in my opinion. It looks a little silly, it looks too short. I can understand it, maybe they're doing it because of legal reasons, but I even think within the legal limit this could still be even a bit longer than it currently is. I feel like this isn't actually going to block out much sun, but this is what we've got, so we're going to work with what we've got and we're going to apply it to the car anyway. In case you're wondering what I'm doing with the squirty water bottle, that's actually just a very slight soapy water mix, and it's just going to make sure that the sun strip doesn't stick down straight away, so that I have a bit of movability with it so I can move it around before I decide where the final placement's going to go. So if I have one piece of advice for fitting a sun strip, it would have to be make sure you have patience. This is just something that just takes a bit of time. You can do it on your own. It's a fairly easy job, so don't be afraid to do it yourself, but just make sure you take your time. And remember to use some soapy water so that it doesn't mess up on the first go round. So using the squeegee tool that I used in my last video, but this time for its intended purpose, using a cloth, I'm going to squeege out all of the soapy water from under the sun strip so that it properly adheres to the windscreen. Now this is definitely the most fun part of fitting the sun strip. It's just so satisfying watching you squeeze out all the water from underneath. So now that we've removed most of the water from under the sun strip, we're now moving on to trimming, and because this sun strip in particular isn't the biggest, it's not going to take much trimming to make it fit. And just before I start the trimming, we are essentially going to try and push that excess bit at the top over and underneath the top of the windscreen using a hairdryer. Now that's done, I can move on to trimming, and most people for this step normally use a razor blade or a Stanley knife. However, I'm going to be using a pair of scissors. Now this is just because that's what I have, but also because look how well this works. Smooth as butter. Now this does not need to be a perfect cut because we're going to be pushing all of the excess underneath, so you won't see it anyway. So now that it's cut, we can use the squeegee tool and the hairdryer again to make sure it's all pushed down and underneath. Now that's all left to do is do the same for the excess that's on the sides, and then we can do the final reveal. Before I show you the final reveal from the outside, I just want to show you what it's going to look like from inside the car. The most important part, most would say, because this is what's actually going to be stopping us from that evil sun. And this is my biggest problem with this Sunstrip. From looking inside the car, you can just tell it's too damn short, okay? The actual sunblock thing that you have built into your car is going to be better than this piece of crap. So I definitely think I'm going to have to upgrade it in the future. However, it's on the car now and it's definitely better than one that had holes in it. So until I get a new one, this is what we're working with. So let's have a look at what it looks like from outside the car. I would say the fitment's not too bad considering I did it myself, but yeah, this is what it looks like on the outside of the car. I do like the lettering, but again, it's just too short. But let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you think I should change it straight away, or is it okay for now? But that's it for this video. If you did like it, please leave a like and subscribe to see any future videos.